The state of Kuwait called on its citizens to avoid traveling over concerns about the spread of the coronavirus. In Bahrain, the Interior Ministry threatened legal prosecution against travelers who came from Iran and hadn't been tested for the new coronavirus, and also barred public gatherings for 2 weeks. Bahrain has shut down flights to halt the spread of the virus, which causes the illness named COVID-19 by experts. An Iranian health ministry spokesperson said there were 9 new coronavirus deaths, raising the toll to 43 people amid 593 confirmed cases in the country. The spokesman urged people to stay away from mass gatherings and limit their travel. Several countries have announced that they would deny entry to all foreign nationals traveling from Iran. Greece said it has blocked thousands of migrants from crossing its border illegally from Turkey, following an influx of refugees fleeing fresh violence in northwestern Syria. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan said that his country's borders with Europe were open as thousands of refugees gathered at the frontier with Greece. Clashes erupted between Greek police and migrants on the border Saturday after the influx of refugees following deadly strikes in Syria's Idlib province. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said that he had asked Russian President Vladimir Putin to step aside in Syria and leave Turkey to deal with Syrian regime forces alone. He made his remarks after 33 Turkish soldiers were killed in an airstrike by Russian-backed regime forces in the Idlib region on Thursday, the biggest Turkish military loss on the battlefield in recent years. The latest incident has raised further tensions between Ankara and Moscow, whose relationship has been tested by violations of a 2018 deal to prevent a regime offensive on Idlib. Turkish ground and airstrikes on Syrian regime forces and their allies in northwest Syria's Idlib have killed 48 pro-Damascus soldiers, including militant members from Lebanon, in the past 24 hours. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said among those killed in the strategic eastern Idlib city of Sarakab are 12 members of Lebanon's militia and 2 of its commanders. According to the Monitor, Syrian regime and Russian warplanes continued airstrikes on Saturday on Sarakab, a focal point of intensified fighting in recent days between Turkish-backed fighters and Damascus. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia called on its citizens and residents to postpone travel to Lebanon over concerns of the spread of the coronavirus. The Saudi embassy in Lebanon said the kingdom temporarily suspended entry of Gulf Cooperation Council citizens to the holy cities of Mecca and Medina. A foreign ministry statement said it will exclude from the decision citizens of the GCC who had been in Saudi Arabia for more than 14 continuous days and did not show any symptoms of the new coronavirus. Thousands of Algerian demonstrators took to the streets of the capital and other cities calling for mass trials for members of the former regime. The protesters chanted slogans against members of former President Abdelaziz Bouteflika's regime, who protesters accuse of remaining in power. Their chants including condemnation of a court's decision this week to acquit the son of President Abdelmajid Tebboune in a high-profile corruption case. Tunisian Prime Minister Elias Fakhfakh officially assumed his mission as he plans to tackle urgent economic and social problems such as unemployment. Fakhfakh took over from ex-Prime Minister Youssef Jihad at a ceremony held at Dar Daifa in the presence of the new ministers, Parliament Speaker Rachid Ghannouchi, and the representatives of national associations and political parties. Tunisia's new government was sworn in on Thursday after winning a parliamentary confidence vote that broke 4 months of deadlock. The United States will continue to work with Egypt, Ethiopia and Sudan until they sign an accord on a giant Blue Nile hydropower dam, after failing to secure signatures from the 3 countries this week. U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said that 3 countries had expected to sign an agreement in Washington this week on the filling and operation of the $4 billion Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, but Ethiopia skipped the meeting and only Egypt has initiated the deal thus far. Mnuchin said he held separate bilateral talks with key ministers from Egypt and Sudan over the past 2 days after Ethiopia asked for a delay in what was to be the final round of talks. The Egyptian Ministry of Health announced that it is in contact with France and Canada after the two countries confirmed cases with coronavirus diseases coming from Egypt. David Williams, medical officer of health in Ontario, said that 8 cases, including a man coming from Egypt, were tested positive for the virus in Toronto's Ontario. Consequently, the cases reported in Canada rose to 16 people so far. French Minister of Health Olivier Véran announced that there were 6 people on holiday in Egypt, and 2 of those people were diagnosed with coronavirus, noting that the total number of people in France increased to 57 cases so far. The United States signed a landmark deal with the Taliban, laying out a timetable for a full troop withdrawal from Afghanistan within 14 months as it seeks an exit from its longest ever war. The agreement is expected to lead to a dialogue between the Taliban and the Kabul government that, if successful, could ultimately see an end to the grinding 18-year-old conflict. The Doha Accord was drafted over a tempestuous year of dialogue, marked by the abrupt cancellation of the effort by Trump in September. Lebanese authorities have closed schools and universities in the country following the discovery of a 4th coronavirus case, and fears at least 3 other people may be infected. Lebanon's Ministry of Education and Higher Education ordered schools and universities to close their doors for 1 week after a Syrian man developed symptoms associated with the virus. Despite the increasing number of cases, the Medical Emergency Committee described the Ministry of Education and Higher Education's decision to close schools as arbitrary. With the number of coronavirus cases skyrocketing in South Korea in the past week, a local French Christian sect has been blamed for the growing outbreak. As of Wednesday, a total of 1,261 people had tested positive, with 12 deaths reported. Just a week ago, the number of infected persons stood at 50. However, South Korea has seen by far the highest number of the COVID-19 cases outside of China. The government said it had secured a list of 212,000 worshippers and will begin conducting coronavirus tests on those who have respiratory symptoms. Mexico's health ministry said the country has confirmed 3 cases of coronavirus, becoming the second Latin American nation reached by the global outbreak. The 3 men are all believed to have visited northern Italy, the epicenter of the virus in Europe. Italy has recorded 650 cases of the coronavirus and 17 deaths across cities in the north. In Mexico, 2 more suspected cases are under analysis in the central state of Guanajuato and 1 in northwestern Durango. Pakistan said Saturday it has detected 2 new cases of the coronavirus, bringing the total number of patients with the infection in the country to 4. Confirmation of the cases has set off alarm bells as authorities scramble to screen hundreds of people who recently arrived from Iran, a major new hotspot for the virus. The earlier 2 cases were also detected in the same cities. Mayors said they were fast recovering and 1 would be discharged from hospital soon. Qatar has confirmed its first case of the coronavirus after a 36-year-old Qatari woman who was evacuated to Doha from Iran tested positive. Qatar repatriated a number of its citizens from Iran, which is battling the worst outbreak outside of China, and confined them to a 14-day period of quarantine. The health ministry said the infected patient had been admitted to hospital.